Hey ladies and gentlemen, I am going to start the homework from Unit 4A, Day 2, and the goal of the day was to solve systems of equations by elimination. So I want to just talk through some things for you guys. Okay, so when we are eliminating, the first step is we need to combine these equations together. That means we need to add down. So 2x and 2x, that makes 4x. Negative 6y, negative 10y, that makes negative 4y. 17 and 9, that makes 26. So there's an issue. What I said before we can combine is we need two things to happen. We need one of the variables, either y or x, to have the same coefficient, which we have right here, but we need opposite operations or opposite signs. So we need one to be positive and one to be negative. So this is an easy fix. We need to multiply one of these equations by a -1. And that will change either the top equation to have a -2 or the bottom equation to have a -2, dependent on what you choose. So you can see I rewrote the equation down here in blue. This was my original, and I decided to multiply the bottom equation by -1. When I multiply it across, I then get -2x plus 10y equals -9. I rewrote this top equation below in red, and now I can combine the equations, and my -2x and 2x cancel out. I have 16y equals 8, and when I solve for that, I get y is equal to 1/2. I'll let you finish the rest, but you should know now, okay, I'm going to take that y equals 1/2, and I'm going to plug it in either to this y or to this y, and then solve for x. Let's move on to the next one. 16, I have 4x minus 2y is equal to -16, and -3x plus 4y is equal to 12. I had some people asking today, well, how do I know? How do I know which one to change? It doesn't matter, and you almost want to think of it like a common denominator approach. So listen carefully. If I want to get rid of the 4 or the x's, I have a 4 and a 3. So you can think of this as like, what if I had 1/4 plus 1/3? What would the common denominator of 4 and 3 be? Well, that would be 12. That means I'd need to multiply the 4 by 3, which means this whole top equation would have to be multiplied by a 3 to get this 4 to be a 12. And I'd have to multiply the 3 by a 4 to get that to be a 12. Okay? If I wanted this common denominator scenario, I would change this to a 12 and this to a -12. That would cancel. But if I look at the y's, I could think of this as 1/2 for that 2 coefficient, and this as 1/4 for that 4 coefficient. Well, what's a common denominator between 2 and 4? Well, that's 4. Well, I already have a 4 here, which is nice. In order to change the 2 to a 4, I just need to multiply it by 2. So I'm going to change this 2 to a -4. It's already negative. I'm going to multiply this whole top equation by a +2. So you can see in black, I have my original equation. I take the red, and I need to multiply up to each term here. I'm left then with 8x, okay, minus 4y is equal to -32. I rewrote this black equation below just to stay organized, and now I can combine. The y's cancel, and I'm left with 5x is equal to -20. I'm going to let you solve the rest. We solve for x. We take that answer and we plug it into one of these equations and solve for y. Let's do another one. 17. I'm going to try that common denominator talk. I helped with my second hour, so hopefully it will help with you. I want to think, hey, what if I had 1/3 and 1/6? What would a common denominator be? And that would be 6. So I'd want to multiply this top equation by 2 to get this to be a 6. Or I could think about it this way, 4 and 3 again. If I had 1/4 and 1/3, a common denominator would be 12. In order to make this be a 12, I need to multiply this whole equation by 3. In order to make this be 12, I need to make this whole equation by 4. My point isn't talking about both of them. It doesn't matter which variable you decide to cancel. In my opinion, you should do what's easiest. So am I going to want to make these y's 12? No, because I need to multiply both equations by something in order to make these y's 12. So instead, I'm going to make the top equation equal to 6, the x value equal to 6. More importantly, though, I need it to be equal to a negative 6 because this is a positive value down here. So I rewrote it in red, you can see there, and I multiplied the top equation by negative 2. Each term needs to be multiplied. When I do that, I get negative 6x plus 8y equals 20. I didn't rewrite that second equation because it's right under there. And I can combine now. My x's cancel. I get 11y is equal to negative 22. Again, I'll let you finish the rest. Solve for y. Take your y value and plug it into one of these equations, okay? And solve for x. 18. Again, let's think about the common denominator. I have a 4 and an 8. If this was 1/4 and this was 1/8, I would multiply the 4 by a 2 to get it to match. So I can multiply this whole top equation by a 2. More importantly, though, I need to make it a negative 2. Why? Because I need this one to be a negative 8. I did the bottom one too, the 1/3, 1/6. Well, I can multiply this whole equation again by a negative 2. That would be that common denominator, making it equal to a 6. When I do that, I have my original in purple here, negative 2 to get my x's or my y's to cancel out. Well, watch what's going to happen. I multiplied this equation right here by negative 2 each term, and I get negative 8x plus 6y is equal to negative 20. I didn't rewrite this bottom equation because it's right next to each other. This cancels, and this also cancels, which means I have 0 is equal to 0, and that means infinite solutions. Number 19, I have 5x minus 3y is equal to negative 3, and 2x plus 6y is equal to 0. Again, let's talk about what to cancel. If I wanted to cancel the x's, that would be like I had 1/5 plus 1/2, which is shown below. A common denominator of 1/5 and 1/2 is 10. So I'd multiply this top one, the 5, by 2 to make this 10, and this bottom one by 5 to make it 10. One of them, though, would have to be negative. I'd have to maybe multiply the bottom one by a negative 5, so I'd get a negative 10 there. That's multiplying 2 equations. I think it would be easier to multiply just one equation. So I'm actually going to eliminate the y's. How? Think of it as 1/3 and 1/6 right here. How do I get that common denominator of 1/3 and 1/6? I multiply by 2. So I'm going to take this top equation and multiply it by 2. I don't need to make it negative because I already have a negative and a positive there. I scroll down, and green is my original equation. I take my red and I distribute it to get negative 6, negative 6 again, and negative 10. I combine, oopsie, give me a second, this bottom equation and my new top equation after I multiplied it out. That gives me negative x is equal to negative 6. And again, I will let you finish the rest. Number 20, I'm just going to give you a suggestion. I could eliminate the x's, I could eliminate the y's. If I wanted to eliminate the y's, I would need to multiply the top by what? Hopefully you're thinking if I had 1/2 and 1/3, a common denominator would be 6, so I want these to be 6. So I'd multiply the top equation by 3 and the bottom equation by 2. It would be easier though if I eliminated the x's. If I had 1/10 plus 1/5, I would want a common denominator of 10. So I only need to multiply the bottom by a 2. The issue with just doing a 2, though, is that would make this 10. I need it to be negative 10. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by a negative 2. Looking at the last 3 here, I personally would eliminate the y's. The reason I would do that is because I already have a positive and negative. What's a common denominator between 1/5 and 1/2? It would be 10. So I'm going to multiply this top by 2 to make this one be a 10, and this bottom one by 5 to make this one be a 10. Again, I'm going to let you try these now. Over here, 7 and negative 2 are already positive and negative. I personally would then find a common denominator between 1/7. I can write it out for you if you want. 1/7 and 1/2. A common denominator would be 14. So we want to change this to a 14 and this to a 14. What do I need to multiply by to get 14? 7 times 2, okay? How do I get this to be a negative 14? I'm going to multiply by a 7, okay? So this top one by 2, this bottom one by 7. I'm going to let you try number 23 on your own. I want to look at number 56. An adult pass for a county fair costs $2 more than... Oh, that's the bell. So I'm actually going to stop right now. We can go through this in class tomorrow. But hopefully this little video helped some of you who are struggling today in class. Have a great night and stay positive, people.